I realized I had a habit. Whenever I felt stuck, I would start looking for something else to do, something else to create, something else to learn, another training, another program, another person I would look to for answers. And eventually I had to ask myself, do I actually need more information? Or do I need to start using some of the information that I already have? That completely changes everything. Now, you're not in this little, oh, I can't learn anymore. You always learn. As they say, never stop learning. I love learning. But every time you feel stuck doesn't necessarily mean that you should buy that extra product. What about just implementing what you have? Why are you accumulating so much information in the first place? It can be it can be so easy to think that if I just have one more training, then I'll have the outcome that I want. If I just take this one last thing, or if I enroll just in one more thing, then that's going to set everything in motion, just being something great. Well, what do you say about that? So I'm thinking about why I accumulated so much information. Overall, I'll tell you that I've always been someone that loves to learn. As a kid, I loved gleaning from different books. Back in my day, it was books, books or some PBS Kids. I don't think it was called PBS Kids back then. It was just PBS, and whatever history or something you learned about, whether it was age appropriate or not, you watched it. Or Schoolhouse Rock, remember those? There was always something to learn with Schoolhouse Rock. But overall, even just in regular grade school, I always loved learning. I enjoyed learning about new things and just looking at all the different pictures and books. So it was just something that was always a part of me. And as I got older, of course, I wanted to still learn. I had my whole plan of things I wanted to learn in my life and education and all that. And I liked too looking at different perspectives of how people think and why they think. I was very observant. I would consider myself really introverted and shy when I was a child. And they never thought that I was listening, but I was listening. I was listening. Yeah. Why is that? Let me just take that break. Why do sometimes people think quiet people are not paying attention? Just because we don't say anything doesn't mean we don't hear. Hear, right? So I was taking it all in. I was able to sit back and really watch people. I became a people watcher. And I want to learn what makes that person get angry, what makes them get excited. So that's always been something. But I know I've always wanted to find ways to improve myself. So I've always thought, okay, personal development, I do that. I can get all those classes. I'm open, I'm teachable. I want it to be teachable, right? There's nothing that I haven't arrived where I can't learn something. But I'll say I too want to create my own things as well. I want to create my own way as well. Yes, you want to continue to learn from people and things, but there comes a time when you're like, okay, should I be implementing now? Should I be continue to stop and start? Should I have some type of continuum? So just like the digital cleanup I did, you remember that video? I cleaned I cleaned out all those videos and screenshots. And some of those, like I mentioned before, were things that I learned and they were training things that I actually wanted to implement. And so I didn't want to get rid of that. I wanted to cherish those moments. And especially, it wasn't on this round of, because I've done this before. This probably was the most chaotic cleaning out of the phone system, which I'm finally learning how to navigate the next step because I created a system. But especially if it was something you had to pay for, you're like, I'm not getting rid of this. I'm gonna have this forever. You know? So what I thought, I was collecting knowledge, and sometimes I think I was really collecting possibilities, trying to see what else was possible for me and where I wanted to go next. So saving that information made me feel like I was had some control over things. It made me feel that I was a little bit more prepared for my next step. You ever felt that way? Like, okay, you learn that, okay, I feel more prepared now. It's like giving yourself permission to move forward and feeling inspired. We want to feel inspired, right? We have some more information that we're gleaning. We want to feel like, yeah, now I'm on top of the world. Oh, or two, and making sure I don't forget something that was important, right? Hmm. So I'll tell you, thinking about wellness, because this is like a focal point in this conversation today, overall wellness. So I have always been a foodie and I loved just finding new recipes. Even when we had the magazines, I would pull the recipes out at the hair salon. Okay. It was my aunt's hair salon. I was like, she was probably watching me like, what is she doing now? But those Better Home and Garden magazines, you know, you have all this information. And then whenever I started learning about food sensitivities, food allergies, when I was vegan at some point, there was so much information that I wanted to learn. Like my husband gifted me some cooking lessons when we became vegan to learn how to cook different things. That was so much fun. So holding on to those and just mixing the flavors, what makes the flavors taste like really stand out, just making sure I save all that information and learning from a real chef. I mean, but it comes a time where it's like, okay, do I need more information on how many servings of vegetables and fruits I should eat? More carbs, more protein. Like, when is enough enough? Do I need to keep taking these courses or keep taking these cooking lessons so I can learn more about food combining practices and all of that? And it's someone always seems to have another recommendation. Let's drink to that. You need to pause, get you something to drink. Someone always has a recommendation of this. Oh no, do this version, this keto, this paleo, this pagan, my bad, this vegan, this vegan diet, this vegan, because there's vegan envy, or or add more of this, less sugar, less salt. There's always something. And at some point, I had to stop asking what everyone else was doing and start paying attention to what actually worked for me. Yes, I have all this knowledge about all these different things, but what is going to work for my body? Just because it worked for those 300 people doesn't mean it will work for me. Do you understand? Because everybody's body is different. That's eating psychology 101 right there. So a lot of times too, when I was in the, especially in the early stages of just gleaning different information, it made me question and second guess what I was doing. Well, maybe I need to do this because they have the degree in that. Yeah, I'm not discrediting anyone's degrees in different spheres. We all have our specialties, but bottom line, that's the base. Bottom line, we're all unique individuals, and everything it does not fit in the box, right? And then there was spending money on information where I was like, I already know this. I was like, I paid for this. Like, I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was helpful, but I already knew it. Whoa, 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 whoa. So even the useful information can become over consuming. Yes. Sometimes when you get too much information, then it's like, okay, I'm not doing anything because it's just too much, right? It's too much. So learning itself can be a lot, right? It's like, okay, how much am I going to consume? When am I going to be a producer? We're so used to being consumers. When am I going to be a producer? So, another video, another course, another book, another training, another podcast, because I podcast. Oh my gosh, when I first started, there was so many podcasts. I was like, let me do this. So many different experts on this and that. And it was just too much. It was too much. I'm filling my inbox with so many newsletters. I had to delete a lot. Even the ones I really, really enjoyed, it was just too much information. It all looks productive, right? Sometimes what can be good for you, it can also still consume too much of you. That's what I learned. And it was all about progress. I wanted to be that productive person. I wanted to appear to be productive. I thought that adding all that would make me more productive. And a lot of times it made me stagnant because you get into that decision fatigue. And then it's just like, oh, maybe I need that one more thing. And then it's like, oh, a week has passed and you still have not moved forward. Okay. Like, I have a note here. How many answers do you need before you make the decision? Like, a lot of times we already know. We've talked about this before. A lot of times you know, but it's like, let me learn this to get that confirmation that I'm on the right track, right? You want that extra confirmation that you are on the right track. You got it going. Yeah. Okay. So I have a story, and this is a good one. I was feeling stuck. Okay. I was feeling stuck in what I was doing. So I'm a very multifaceted person. And so at the time, I was gung ho in building the fitness part of my business. I was running, like from this place to that place, doing fitness classes. And I had a lot on my books and then a personal training. And there was this person that I liked watching her videos. I thought, she had it going on and just trying to teach us how to not be pushing through our different classes because we can't be everywhere at all. We can't be at the same place all the time. We need to be able to do other things. A lot of times, as a fitness professional, being in that chair in that class, it can drain you. And just it's not always doable all the time. You need to have something else going on, basically. That was the whole premise, and that was the whole thinking that I was seeing in being drained and feeling stuck. So a lot of the things, I was like, pretty much, I've heard that same spiel before. So I was like, I mean, I think I already know what to do. Yeah. But I was like, well, maybe there's something else I'm missing. It- You get that? It's something else. Let me go ahead and spend that money and buy it because I see she's making like good results. So it has to be something I'm missing. I'm missing. Well, basically, it was the same stuff that I've done before. It was a little tweak, but the little tweak was something that I resisted before. I was like, because that's just not what I wanted to do. But I was like, I paid for this. Let me follow it. I made money. I made money from that. But I learned it was not necessarily the program, it was the timing, of course. But I already knew to do that. Why did I need someone else to tell me what to do? Why do I have to pay? Why did I have to pay all this money to do something I already knew I could do? And yeah, I could do it. Still didn't make me unstuck. I made the money that I needed to make for that particular thing. But that's not, I would say it did help me get it unstuck because I learned that's not the way I wanted to do things. There's always ways to make money, but it may not necessarily mean that's the way you need it to do it or you need to do it. Yes, I think the whole premise of that it actually worked in that sense, but why it worked, I think I needed to test myself again. I needed that. I needed that. It was more like a reminder to trust yourself because anything can work, but trusting yourself on what to do next, if that makes sense. So you may be saying, okay, what do you complain about? It works. Just keep doing that. But should I though? I'll tell you that I did not. I learned the lesson and I stopped. And guess what? It all worked out. I ended up doing something totally different and it all worked out. Along the way, too, I learned that I was still putting myself in a box that I didn't want to keep myself in. So it's all a choice. At the end, we learn. And however, if we need to pay the fee to learn that that's not what I want to do, yes, there's evidence that I can do it. But just because it looks good doesn't mean that is what you're always supposed to do. So I already have the information. You already have what you need to implement, whatever that implementation is. A lot of times we just want confirmation or we see what's working for someone else and believe that too should be our story. But deep down, I believe we already kind of know there's something more, or there's a different path. You just need your own evidence that you're on the right track, not necessarily always looking on the outward. Sometimes we have to turn within to see. So, just in case you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Midlife Time Traveler. Here we are rediscovering, we're reconnecting, we're reclaiming our time, our energy, our talent, and learning, rediscovering who we want to be, who we want to show up as in our next chapter. So make sure you subscribe to the Midlife Time Traveler. All right, we're not done yet. All right. So, as I said before, just a reminder, Just because something can make me money does not, does, okay, let me rewind. Just because something can make me money, does that mean this is how I want to make my money? Getting a result doesn't necessarily mean I want to possess, I want the process that created the results. Again, same thing I said before. That's a reminder. You get to decide how you want to land that plane. Okay? You get to decide. Why would I keep filling my brain with information about building something I'd already decided I didn't want to build? I think that's where growth comes in. You see, you're capable, you're more than capable. You have all the degrees, or maybe you have all the information. Maybe you've gleaned the podcast, you've learned from the different books. You have the information now. So it's like, what are you waiting for now? You don't need another confirmation. You've already built the evidence that you can do it. What's the next step for you now? What's the next step? Because guess what? If you keep going back and forth, it's like you're creating that pattern, the pattern of I have to get this one more thing in order to know that what I'm doing is going to work. It creates a continuous consumption cycle. And the question again, when are we going to get away from just consuming and start? When are we going to stop just consuming and start producing? When are we going to become the producer? Okay. So I know personally, I don't want my next chapter to be collecting a bunch of stuff. I want my next chapter to be less collecting and more implementing, less saving all the things and more practicing what I've already learned, less consuming all the content and producing a product or service, less researching everything and more living the life. Do you remember that song, like living the life like it's golden, living a life like it's, is it living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden. I'm taking my freedom. Take your freedom. I got take your freedom. Take your freedom. Be free to do. Don't just consume. Excuse me. Do. Don't just consume. Do. I'm becoming someone who learns and then actually gives herself a chance to use what she's learned. So I'm learning and then I'm giving myself a chance to use what I'm learning. What about you? Let's say that I'm learning and then I'm giving myself a chance to use what I'm learning. All right. You don't always, I have a note here. You don't always have to be sitting in the audience. Mhm. It's time for you to be presenting the things, okay? It's time for you. All right. Self-trust. That's the thing. And this is not an entire lesson about self-trust because we've already gone there. Get my voice. All right. But that is what we're learning. Again, we're learning that learning, building that evidence. Remember, again, I have to be reminded constantly every day that what I'm doing is building evidence. I've built this, and now it's time to do the work I've consumed. Now do. You learned, now implement what you learned. And this goes through everything, your business, your food. for money, of course, all the spreadsheets. Now do the time and energy, opportunities, all the learning, everything. And it's not like you have arrived anywhere, it's a continuous process. We, again, have to be reminded of that process, okay? And that's how we grow. When the same lesson shows up wearing different clothes, will I recognize it sooner this time? There is a quote. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find the quote. And every time, I think the last time I was trying to find it, I couldn't find it. But I remember posting it one time. It's been a while. And oh, here it is. Okay, so this is a Thomas Edison quote. And it says, opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. Dressed in overalls and looks like work. Okay. So we can apply that here. Opportunities. And it's not necessarily the actual, we're not adding more and more things that to consume, but it's an opportunity to now practice what you've learned. Yeah, it's work. It's gonna be some work, but it's a great opportunity for you to learn apply what you've learned. That's the whole part of learning. We're here to apply and to use what we learn, right? I have an image of the landfill. Like so much is piled up, and it's like things that, I mean, they've been used, but there's no place to put the stuff, right? If they've been consumed, but there's a leftover, there's a residue, right? We don't want to have a residue piled up of things. Whatever we learn, we want to use it and it's spread out to the masses. Whatever the masses look like, whether it's a small women's group or a person group, or maybe it's a bigger or larger stage, or maybe it's in a book, but it's pushed out and there's no residue. The only, I wouldn't say residue, the evidence is that you learned it and the result is what you have. There's no lingering things. It's like you've taken what you've learned, applied it, and there it is. And it's had room to grow. It's been released. It's been released. So maybe the next thing you need isn't another answer. And I'm talking to myself. Maybe the next thing I need isn't another answer. Maybe I need to give the answers we already have a chance to work. Yes, that's it. Give it a chance to work. Give it a chance to work. Information doesn't change my life simply because I collected it. Eventually, I have to do something with it. That's what we're talking about over and over again. Eventually, you have to do something with the information that you have. It can be scary. It can, but it's more so maybe we're just afraid on how impactful. Let's think like that. How impactful it will be. Like, whoa, I didn't realize it was going to be so good. Yeah. But the reality is, sometimes we feel that it'll just be a flop. But will it though? It's not a flop because even if it's one person that hears something different, look what you've done. That one person's going to go out and maybe that person knows two people, and then that one person, and then there's 10. And you see how that one thing that you put out can change lives. You may not see all the lives that it changes, but there's going to be some change. You just have to believe that it will be, okay? So, my question for you, I'm going to leave you with this. Is there something you're still researching, learning about, or collecting information on when you might already know enough to take the next step? Maybe you already know. Maybe you already know. Think about it. Is there something you're collecting? You're still gleaning research, but you already know what to do. Just go ahead and step out. Just step out. Challenge yourself to do that. So, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. I keep saying episodes, so they feel like episodes. It's just, I enjoy connecting with you. At the Midlife Time Traveler, make sure you subscribe. We are reclaiming our time, our talent, our energy, and learning, and we're rediscovering who we want to be in our next chapter. If you're someone that's stuck in the learning cycle of consuming more and are ready to produce, how about let's stay connected and we're helping each other out. We're on this journey together. We are learning and learning how to put out what we learn one step at a time. So make sure you subscribe at the Midlife Time Traveler. And until next time, while you have the day, make the most of today. Bye for now.